Welcome to PLMALive, the online video series that brings you face-to-face with people making news of importance to store brands. I'm your host, Tim Simmons. Our guest today is Michael Jandernoa, one of the most successful chief executive officers in the history of private label. He was the CEO of Perrigo, a company that would become the country's largest supplier of private label over-the-counter medicines, and he served as CEO for more than a decade. He still serves on Perrigo's board of directors, in addition to being involved in many other business activities. I'm talking with Mike at PLMA's annual meeting and leadership conference in Arizona, where he's been inducted into the Private Label Hall of Fame. Mike, welcome to PLMALive. Despite all the talk about the retailer-supplier partnership, lots of manufacturers still say that retailers really call all the shots, and the manufacturers just do what they're told.
I think that that's kind of the private label of the past. And certainly in my career, I saw a significant and dramatic change from that model to a model where the manufacturer also had the responsibility of marketing as well. And we have taken that upon ourselves as our role and responsibility of what we deliver in terms of value added to the retailer, and importantly to the consumer, is to make sure that we as a company knew the consumer of store brands and the general consumer better than anybody else. So we are data-centered, data-focused, and are looking at the opportunity to do research and learn daily from all of our customer base what's working with the store brand model and packaging, what's working with promotion, what's not, what's working with price points, and what's not. So we believe that's our role, and a particularly important role, to provide that information to the retailer, and then they need to take it and apply it. It's their brand. We've got ideas and we've got recommendations, but the retailers need to take those ideas and recommendations and make them their own, accept them, and implement them.
You obviously believe that it's important for the CEOs of private label companies to have a good understanding of data and technology.
It just makes us as CEOs more effective and more efficient. So it's helpful. If we have a message and we've got a direction and we've got a vision we want to take our organization, by having the information there that supports that vision and direction, it's confirming. And then when we're looking to empower and engage our employees at all levels, from the factory floor to the warehouse to the office, when they can see that translation of information, and then we can communicate that to our retail customers who've got to get the work done and implement it and get the shelves filled and get the product there on time for the consumer, it just is a much better linkage. And part of the part that I've always enjoyed from a store brand standpoint is that we can deliver this high quality product at a significant savings. So the math works, and again, that's data. And with that math working, it makes that sale such that somebody like myself could be a good salesperson because the information is there.
Private label has traditionally been very entrepreneurial, yet Perrigo has grown into a big corporate business.
Well, it clearly is an entrepreneurial business. The store brands, and certainly when I got in the 1970s, it was all about the entrepreneurial aspect, and because there wasn't a dominant player in many of the manufacturing fields. So there were so many companies and competitors, and most of us were small. When I started, Perrigo was 30 million. And so you had that entrepreneurial feel, and back then we called it private label. It wasn't called store brand, and the retailers were the ones making the decisions and telling us which products they wanted. It wasn't for a year or two when we started our marketing department when we started looking at the products we thought ought to come to the marketplace, and when we took the responsibility for the new product introduction. We were always open and listening to the retailers of what they wanted, but we also would add our view and what other items ought to be added. So that's that entrepreneurial aspect of being able to listen to the customer in a very intelligent and consistent manner, but also to be able to bring your own ideas to the table.
What about consolidation among private label companies? Will the high cost of technology drive more mergers?
I think there likely will be more consolidation in the store brands. As you mentioned, this idea of technology. Technology is not just important in the IT area. You've got to have the best IT quality today to make sure that you can deliver the value and the information and provide that data analysis from a marketing and consumer standpoint, and the same data that you need to give acceptable customer service. You just have to have it. So you're going to need that for the U.S. market. You're going to need that as the business grows in other markets around the world. You're going to have that information flow. But you can have that same kind of quality in terms of production. So the manufacturing equipment and the quality and the packaging that goes along with it will continue to be very important. So it will require some significant capital investments, and there will be a size advantage for those companies who can provide those services and still remain entrepreneurial in being able to be first to market with the products and fast, and being able to look at promotion ideas and work with the retailer to build their unique brand.
Can you tell us how Perrigo got started on the road to success?
When I started, Perrigo was a $30 million company in Allegan, Michigan, and we had 3 different categories in our product line: the personal care, over-the-counter drugs, and vitamins. And at that time, when I first started, the personal care kind of was the preferred category. And as we went to our strategy meeting, started thinking that was a category we were going to face and put our focus on. And after we hired and started a marketing department and asked the consumers, we decided to change. So we reduced the priority on personal care and moved it on to OTCs. So it was a big strategic change, but we were a company that was, kind of sitting back and waiting for the retailer to tell us what they wanted. And we did struggle at times because of the size differentiation. If a larger retailer asked something, we were trying to jump and run as fast as we could. And if a smaller retailer asked us to do something, we were kind of trying to figure out, should we try to do that? How does it fit into the priorities? So it was a company that was trying very hard to focus on the customers, but we had so many of them, it was difficult to prioritize and keep ourselves focused both between individual products and categories for new products, but also between the 3 different categories we were operating in.
Were there some crucial turning points in the company's growth?
Yeah, I think there were a couple turning points. Clearly, to me, the turning point was hiring a marketing department, just a huge change in how we ran our business, what we wanted to do data-wise. It was a big confrontation with our CFO and the family members of not wanting to add costs there, and what were we doing? And Mike, come on, what do you think you need this expense for? We're not a national brand. So that was a philosophical struggle, and so that was huge. And then I'd say one of the other key points was in the 1980s when the Tylenol tampering happened, and that's where our employees shined. They did a phenomenal job. We had over 400 products that we were manufacturing and packaging at that time, and in that tamper-evident packaging, when we had to change that, we had a couple hundred products we had to do something with, and we whether had caps that had to be put on or changed, or wraps and shrink wraps and so forth. The variety of solutions that the national brands came up with required us to buy equipment all over the place. And so it happened when we were highly leveraged. We were already at a 4-to-1 debt equity level, and this crisis hit. And so we had to order equipment on the fly. We were calling our banker and telling them, we're ordering this. We're going to go way over our capital expenditure budget, but we don't have a choice, and we're going to need some relief on the loan covenants and so forth. And the employees, we're bringing them in, and you're going to have to learn how to run that equipment and do that without having a lot of errors and keep customer service up. And so it just was a defining moment. We picked up dramatic market share because even though we had a couple hundred products, we had more SKUs to react to. We did it significantly faster than any other company, and it put our name on the mark about, wow, this little company in Allegan, Michigan, Perrigo, is very adept and capable of reacting to such a crisis.
What do you see in the future for Perrigo?
I see a Perrigo that's growing, continuing to grow in the U.S. As more products make the switch from prescription to over-the-counter. So I see significant continued opportunity in the U.S., mainly based on those switch products. And then I think that there'll be some continued evolution in the nutritional area. I think all of us, as we get older, we we want the health and we want that quality of life that I think the nutritional category will continue to have real strength in the U.S. And I think globally it's a brand new world, and we have the opportunity to continue to grow in a dramatic fashion because so many of the markets are underserved in terms of a high quality product and a significant savings.
Finally, I'd like to congratulate you on being elected into the Private Label Hall of Fame.
I'm very happy to accept it on behalf of our management team and all of our employees that have grown to 7,500, which is a long way from the 300 when I started, but I accept it on their behalf and with their success.
Michael, thanks so much for talking with us today. And thank you for watching this edition of PLMA Live. And join us next month for another exclusive interview.